Good afternoon to all the participants. We are starting this session. Are you getting the audio? Please confirm in chat. Are you getting the audio? Is the audio and presentation visible to all of you? And after that, we will start the work. We will start the presentation. Okay. And in this session, as per the schedule, as we have to cover logistic regression and linear regression. Is the audio quality clear to all the participants? Are you getting the audio clearly to all participants?
Yes, it's fine, sir.
Okay. So before starting the actual implementation part, before starting the execution part, first of all, we will discuss about machine learning approaches. Okay, we will type as well as I'm having the presentation also. Okay, broadly we are having unsupervised learning. Okay, I think many of you might have heard, might have studied about this particular thing, that whenever we work on any machine learning based implementation, artificial neural network based implementation or artificial intelligence based executions, generally we encounter these two terms very commonly, that is supervised learning and unsupervised learning. Okay, so first of all we will see what is basic difference between supervised learning and the unsupervised learning, and in which scenarios we have to implement supervised and unsupervised learning. And after that we'll take example of logistic regression and linear regression, under which category it is coming. Okay, when we discuss about supervised learning, first of all I want to make it clear to all the participants that these notepad sheets and presentations will be made available to all of you. So whatever we are discussing here, whatever we are writing here, so all the contents, all the study material will be shared to all the participants. Okay, whenever we work on machine learning approaches, machine learning models, we have, first of all we have to analyze the data. This is the main thing. Okay, the first thing is data extraction in any case of machine learning, or either suppose you are working on deep learning. Okay, in deep learning also we need data, in machine learning also we need data, in artificial intelligence models, in artificial neural networks we have to work on some data. So data is the main thing. Okay, so main thing is data, main object or main parameter is data. Okay, once the data is collected, once the data is extracted from primary or secondary source, okay, whether we have collected the data from primary source or secondary source, first of all we have to check whether it is compatible with supervised learning or unsupervised learning, on which particular technique we have to work with. Are you getting the audio clearly? Dear participants, please confirm, are you getting the audio clearly? Audio and this particular thing. Is the audio quality clear to all and this notepad file? So first of all I am making you comfortable in the concept, and once you will be comfortable in the basics of concepts, then we will move ahead to the implementation part, and I will show you a demo also. So we were discussing about that regardless of the domain, regardless of the perspective of machine learning, the first thing is, the main thing is data. If you are working on image processing, in that case, you must be having image data sets. Okay, it is very obvious, it is very understood. If you are working on video processing, then there must be some videos. If you are working on face recognition, then we get the data of faces. If you are working on some text data, some CSV sheet, in that case, that particular CSV file is extracted. Okay, so data extraction, whether it is primary source or secondary source, that is the main thing. What is primary data? That is collected by own sources, okay, or tools. And secondary data collected by any other. Any other means any other. It means if you have collected the data, if you have downloaded the data from any source, whether it is IEEE data port, or it is UCI, or it is Kaggle, that will be covered under secondary data. Okay, that will not be your primary data. Primary data is that particular data which is collected by the researcher itself. Okay, are you getting this point? What is key difference between primary data and secondary data? So we will discuss each and every point step by step, and after that we will move ahead to the implementation part. Is this point clear to all of you? I think that most of you might be aware with this particular thing, that what is primary data, what is secondary data. If you have collected the data at your own level, from your own camera, from your own sources, if we take example of, suppose, sentiment data analysis. If you have collected Twitter tweets using Python script, if you have performed web scraping, that is your primary data. If you have taken images from your camera for image data set, that will be your primary data. But if you have collected the data from any other source, that will be your secondary data. Okay, both of things are okay, both approaches are fine, both approaches are acceptable. Whether you are working on primary data or secondary data, both are acceptable, but main thing is data set must be benchmark. Okay, this is the main thing. So from wherever source you are fetching the data, that particular data set must be benchmark data set. Benchmark data set means that particular data which is tested, which is not having any biasing, without any biasing, without biasing. Okay, are you getting this point? Please confirm in chat window. Are you getting this point? What is benchmark data? Without biasing, without favoritism, without manipulations. Okay, are you getting this point? Data set must be benchmark data. Why we always go for benchmark data? You might have seen that there are so many benchmark data sets, like Iris data set is there. Dr. Prakash sir, I am just covering this biasing factor also. Okay, you might have seen Iris data set. Okay, you might have seen some data set of Titanic. Okay, Titanic. Okay, so many data sets are available. All these data sets are benchmark data sets. Now we will see what is meaning of biasing in our data set. Suppose you are working on a particular approach. Suppose you are working on a particular algorithm using deep learning for X-ray images. Okay, suppose your base data set is X-ray images. Okay, and you have collected the sample of X-ray images from your own sources. Suppose you have collected the samples of X-ray images from any path lab, or you have collected the MRI images from PGI, or you have collected MRI images or ultrasound images from AIIMS Delhi, okay, or from any other hospital. That particular data set cannot be used for research and development or academic research and development, okay, because that particular data may be biased. You might have seen so many implementations on iris dataset. Iris dataset is related to flowers, different types of flowers, Setosa, and different types of properties are there for each and every flower, and then we perform the classification job. Okay, we perform classification task. So what is meaning of what is that particular thing? Why we generally discuss, why we generally perform implementation on iris dataset? Because that is not having any biasing, that is fully tested. Okay, its standard deviation, its correlation is already tested. There is no biasing, there is no favoritism. Okay, suppose now as a researcher, suppose I don't want to take iris dataset. As a researcher, I don't want to work on iris dataset for flowers. Now I want to take the dataset of flowers, but from Rose Garden, Chandigarh. Okay, suppose using my camera or using my own sources, I collect the data set of roses from Rose Garden, Chandigarh, and I perform the implementation on that particular data set. That particular data set, which is collected from a specific garden, whether it is government garden or private garden, that cannot be taken for academic research because there may be biasing. What is meaning of biasing? Suppose from that particular data set which I have collected from a garden, that is giving me accuracy 88%. Okay, own data set. Suppose my own data set is giving me 88% accuracy. Okay, now that data set is collected by my own sources. I have collected that data from my own sources, from my own links. Now on that particular data set of suppose 100 flowers, there is 88% accuracy. Okay, now what I can do, simply I can modify, delete 10 images or 10 records, and then after deleting 10 records, after deletion of 10 records, it is giving me 99% accuracy. In that case, I can adopt this approach. This is known as machine learning fallacy, machine learning or statistical fallacy or favoritism. Are you getting this point? Dear participants, have you understood this point? What I am discussing here, why we always go for some benchmark data sets. Suppose I have taken, suppose I am working on image processing, okay, and for image processing I have taken 500 X-ray images from PGI Chandigarh, okay, and from those images my algorithm is giving me suppose 55% accuracy. Now those 500 images are in my control. Those 500 images are not posted anywhere. Those 500 images are not available on internet. So nobody can check its accuracy. Nobody can check its genuineness, its authenticity. So what I can do, just to manipulate, suppose in that case, what I can do, from 500 images, I can delete 500 images, or I can add 200 more images. So I am, and after performing this type of manipulation, this type of unethical manipulation, I will be able to achieve 99.9% accuracy. So are you getting this point, that in this particular case, in non-benchmark data, we can play with the data set. In non-benchmark data, we can play with it and can improve the output, okay, without changing the algorithm. So in case of non-benchmark data, we can we are focusing only on data rather than algorithm, but research work is focused on modification of algorithm. Research work is focused on improvement in the algorithms rather than making the data set in such a way that it will give me 100% accuracy, that it will give me 99.999% accuracy. That's why all researchers, that's why most of the scientists take benchmark data sets, because these data sets are available on internet. Anybody can check. Even if I am able to manipulate the data, manipulate that particular data set, then what invigilator can do, what supervisor can do, they can say that, okay, download that data in front of me and now perform your algorithm. So if I will perform same thing, if I will download data in front of them, in that case, anybody can be caught out. Okay, anybody can be easily identified that this person has manipulated the data rather than improved the algorithm. Is this point clear to all of you, dear participants? Is this point clear to all of you? What is benchmark data and why do we adopt this, and what is meaning of actually statistical fallacy or machine learning fallacy? This is known as machine learning fallacy. Is this point clear to all the participants? What is meaning of biasing? What is meaning of machine learning fallacy? And why we always go for IRIS data set? Why we download data from UCI? Why we download data from Kaggle? Why we download data from IEEE data port? So this is the main thing, because all these data sets are available on internet, and this is the base property of any benchmark data, that it must be available on public domain. It must be available for all the researchers rather than in control of only one researcher. Okay, so that thing. So this is the one thing. This is one of the very prime aspect of data set. So whenever we have to implement the algorithm, first of all take the data set. Now suppose we have collected the data. That data is benchmark data. Now we are sure that the data set which we have downloaded, that is benchmark data from UCI or IEEE data port or from any other portal. Now the question comes, which algorithm we should apply? Now next point comes, which particular algorithm must be applied? Algorithm to be selected. To be selected. Which algorithm can be implemented? Okay. Now, if data set is having the classes, if that particular data set is having labels, okay, with labels and classes, if that particular data is having labels and classes, in that case supervised learning will be used. And in supervised learning there are so many approaches, like linear regression, like logistic regression. We can perform random forest approach, we can perform artificial neural networks. Okay, so if that particular data is having labels, if that particular data set is having classes or targets, it means supervised learning can be directly implemented on that particular data. Now if I show you a data set, suppose in this particular data set I'm showing you, just to make you understand this point. Okay, now is this sheet visible to all of you? Is this Excel sheet visible to all of you? Dear participants, is this Excel sheet visible to all the participants? Now this is the Excel sheet. This is the data set that I have extracted from IEEE data port, and this is COVID-19 data set. Okay, it is having age, gender, this Wuhan, not Wuhan, whether it belongs to that 1 or 0, longitude, latitude, lives in Wuhan, native place is that, or if this person came from some other place, and outcome 1 for alive, 0 for dead. It means a person of age 82, this gender and all these parameters, in one is alive. Okay, this particular person dead. Okay. Now, what is meaning of this? Suppose my research problem is to find out the probability of survival or death. In that case, I am having this label. This is known as label. Is this visible to all of you? Are you getting this attribute, this outcome? So if my research problem, if my task is to find out whether a particular person will be alive or it will die, and these are the parameters. In that case, this outcome will become the label. This is your label or target class. Are you getting this point? Is this point visible to all of you? Dear participants, please respond in chat. Is it clear to all of you? So what is the meaning of a label? Suppose my final outcome is this. So this is your, what is the meaning of outcome? This is your dependent variable. Outcome will be your dependent variable. And depending upon others, if I am finding out that particular dependent variable, so these will become independent variables. Are you getting this point? So this is your dependent variable. Suppose I want to find out whether this person will be survive or it will die. Okay. Like this. So, and if I want now, this is the test data. Suppose from this particular data I want to predict what will happen to this. So this is a question mark. Are you able to view this? Is this sheet visible to all of you? This is your question mark. Is this visible to all the participants? This yellow highlighted sheet. This is your. These are your independent variables, and this value we have to find out. Now I don't know the final outcome of these people. What will happen to these people? And out of these 6 people, how many will die if they are having this particular attribute? Okay. Now if I want to perform this implementation, then we can implement supervised learning. Why? Because we are already having the classes. We are already having these classes. So this is your input and this is your label. Okay. Are you getting this point? This is your input variable or input data set, and this one is your outcome. Outcome means your label. So anything, the data set which is having the labels, classes, targets, this is your supervised learning. If we take another example of supervised learning, you might have, everybody of you might have solved some questions of reasoning. Okay. If I say that, okay, if inputs are 1 and 3, then it will come in class 0. If input is 2 and 4, then it will be under class 1. If input is 2, 3, it will be in class 3. Or suppose if I take this 1, 0. Okay. And now if I ask you that, okay, under which class 5 and 6 will come? So this will be the example of supervised learning, because we already know the pattern. This is the pattern, that if there is difference of 2, then 1 is the final class. If there is difference of 1, then 0, like this. So this is your training data. So in case of training data in machine learning model, what we can do, so this will be your X, this will be Y, and this is your final class. Okay. And depending upon this particular training of data, we can predict the output. Is this point clear to all of you? What is the meaning of supervised learning? So step by step we are covering each and everything, so that we will be able to understand the points. Are you able to understand this point? What is supervised learning? If we are, is this point clear to all of you? Please confirm in chat, yes or no. Is it clear to all? What is meaning of supervised learning? If we are having the input along with its final class, along with its final target. If I say that, if I do not give you all these things, okay. If I say you, okay, predict this particular value, you have to perform machine learning model, you have to perform an implementation on this data set. So this particular data set is not having any target class. So this is your vague data without targets or labels. In this particular case, unsupervised learning can be done. Unsupervised approach. Okay. Unsupervised approach, what we can do with this particular data, we can cluster, we can perform clustering or grouping, we can perform. Okay. So the data which is not having any particular label, which is not having any particular class, which is not having any trained thing, in that case it will become your unsupervised learning. Is this point clear to all of you? What is meaning of unsupervised learning and supervised learning? Is this point clear? What is main difference between supervised learning and unsupervised learning? In case of unsupervised learning, target is not given. In case of unsupervised learning, depending upon the features of data set, we have to perform the implementation. Okay. Desired output, expected output. Okay, all these things I will tell you. Okay, no problem. Kamangsha Prasad Dubey, sir, okay, I will tell you about this thing in upcoming implementation. Okay. Now, up to this point, is it clear what is input data and what is your output variable? Now we will see. Now we have come to know that this particular data can be used for supervised learning. Now the question comes, which supervised learning? There are so many supervised learning approaches. Okay, linear regression, logistic regression, so many things can be implemented. There are so many approaches can be implemented. Now the question comes, which supervised learning? Okay, now we have to identify which supervised learning. Okay, now you can see that in this data set, outcome is 1 or 0. Are you able to view this? This outcome we want to predict whether it will die or it will survive. 1 or 0. Okay. Dear participants, the questions we will take at end of the session. First of all, we will complete the contents. Otherwise, in between the session, if we will take the query, then complete session will be delayed. Okay. So first of all, we will finish the content, and after that, you can ask your queries. Okay, so please keep your queries with you, and at end of the session we will take all the technical queries. Is it visible to all the participants that in outcome there are two variables? There are two possibilities, 1 and 0. Is it visible to all of you? Are you able to view this? Dear participants, please respond in chat box so that I can come to know that you are understanding the things. Otherwise, it's difficult for me to confirm whether you are getting all the points. Okay. So this outcome. Now you can see there are two possibilities. In outcome, there are two possibilities. If there are two possibilities, in that case, what we do? Which approach we use? We use logistic regression. If there are two possibilities, 1 or 0, true or false, yes or no. Okay, so two possibilities means whether this person will survive or it will die, whether this person is having cancer or not cancer, whether this person is COVID positive or COVID negative. Okay, depending upon body parameters, depending upon blood pressure, depending upon temperature, depending upon sneezing, depending upon cough, we want to predict whether it is COVID positive or COVID negative. So two possibilities are there. In that case, we can implement logistic regression. So if you want to predict COVID, okay, positive or negative, in this case, we can implement logistic regression. We cannot implement linear regression here. Are you getting this point? Where we can implement logistic regression? If we want to predict, suppose my work is on cancer prediction, and whether it is yes or no, cancerous or no, tissues are cancerous, okay, yes or no. In that case, logistic regression can be used. If I want to predict whether this particular person survival, yes or no, in that case, logistic regression will be used. Okay. So in whatever area we are working, in whatever data set we are working, if we are having two outcomes, two possibilities, then we can implement logistic regression. Okay. Now tell in this particular data set which technique we can use, whether we can use linear regression or logistic regression. This is the data set. I want to train this particular data set in machine learning model. In that case, logistic regression will be used. Linear regression will not be used. Why? Because it is giving us two outcomes, whether it will die or it will survive. Okay. Now another question. If this is my dependent variable, if age is my dependent variable, if from these values, even from outcome, even from these values, I want to predict the age, then which technique I will use? I want to predict the age depending upon gender, longitude, latitude, lives in Wuhan, and outcome. Now, if I want to predict age, in that case, I will use linear regression. Are you getting this point? So, logistic regression is your classification. Logistic regression is your classification, and linear regression is your regression problem. Regression means predict value. In case of linear regression, we predict the value. In case of logistic regression, we predict the outcome in 1 or 0. Is it clear to all of you? Is this point clear to all the participants? What is difference between linear regression and logistic regression? Now you can see that if I show you that in slide also. Is this slide visible to all of you? In case of linear regression, outcome is continuous. In case of logistic regression, outcome is discrete, not continuous. Discrete means 1, 0, true, false, yes, no. Okay. Linear regression includes outcome is continuous, like age, okay, weight. In case of linear regression, like your blood pressure, temperature, rainfall, all these things, Richter scale, earthquake, that is your linear regression. Logistic regression means discrete. Okay. And you can say that in case of linear regression, there is regression algorithm, and logistic regression is basically the classification. We want to classify. Okay. So in case of logistic regression, we have to work like this. And now if we work on this particular thing, on this particular data set, now this particular data set, on this particular data set, suppose we want to implement logistic regression. Okay. Suppose from these values, I want to predict this. Okay. I'm having another data set also. For simplicity, just to make you comfortable, we will take that data set and then we will discuss it. Okay. This is the data set that I have taken from internet. Is this visible to all of you? Is this data set visible to all the participants? This is the Excel sheet. Now this is the patient ID of a particular hospital, gender, age, weight, and this is the final outcome. 0 means not died and 1 means died. Okay. Now, if I want to predict a particular person depending upon age, weight, and gender, okay, then which technique I can apply? Whether I want to predict whether that particular person, whether a new patient will die or it will survive. Which technique will be followed? Logistic regression or linear regression? Which particular technique we can apply for prediction of death or survival? It will be logistic regression, because we are having two outcomes. You can see that whether it will die or survive. Logistic algorithm, we will use logistic regression. Now we will see, out of these 4 parameters, which parameter will decide the death or survival of a person. Is the patient ID, is whether we can take patient ID for creating the equation, yes or no? So patient ID, can we take patient ID for in equation in that particular thing? Patient ID can't be taken. Okay, that's okay. So what we will do for prediction implementation, what we will take only age, gender, and weight. We will train a logistic regression model. This will be your input and this will be your target class. Okay, we will skip patient ID. Patient ID is not required because patient ID is no way dependent on death or survival. Okay, except the astrology or some other things. Okay, but technically, in technical way, only age, gender, and weight can be associated with the death or survival. Now I will show you its implementation in Python. Okay, I will show you this very simple implementation in Python, how to implement this logistic regression model, and we will take a new data set. This is your training data set, and this is your test data set. Okay, and on this test data set we will predict, this is your test data set. Okay, so we will predict what will happen to these patients, whether these patients will survive or how many of these will die. Are you getting this point? What we are going to do, we are having this sheet as training data, we are having another sheet for testing data or for prediction. First of all, we will train this data set on a logistic regression model, and then from the testing data set we will predict it. Okay, so I'm showing that. So for that, first of all, you will have to, I think many of you might be already aware with Python, with Spider IDE. All of you have already worked on Python. So after installation of Anaconda, you will get Spider IDE. Okay. So in Spider, I'm directly opening the code. This is the Spider IDE, and I will explain the code line by line so that you will understand it. So first of all, there is no need to worry about so many lines of code, and I have hidden all those things so that you should not get panic after seeing so many lines of code. Okay, it is visible to all the participants. Is this code visible to all of you in Spider IDE? Are you able to view this code? I'm zooming this again, enlarging the size of font. Okay, now you can see that we are working on this particular library, Pandas. Pandas is used for data analytics. Okay, Pandas is used for data analytics. Yes, we can use it, no issue. it's up to you whether you want to take patient ID or not. Okay. So data set from this COVID.csv. This is your COVID.csv sheet. Okay. This sheet we have taken. Okay. And from this particular sheet, you can see that X is equal to I location, I LOC. It means second and third attribute we are taking for the prediction. Okay. You can see that we are skipping the gender also. We are taking only age and weight. Depending upon age and weight, we want to train this particular data. So you can see that X is equal to 2,3. So third and fourth variable we are taking. This is your third and this is your fourth variable, because index starts from 0. Okay. And Y is equal to, Y means label, output label. This is your label. Okay. And this Y, 0, 0. Is it clear to all the participants what we have done? So simply, this is your X and this is Y. This is your X and this is Y. Okay. So we have taken this thing. Now I'm hiding other lines so that you can understand each and everything clearly. Now ILOC stands means location. Okay, index. This particular index. If I want to fetch, if I want to take patient ID also, in that case I will take 0. Okay. If I want to take patient ID and gender, in that case 0, 1. So which particular attribute we want to take? Okay, is this point clear to all of you? What is ILOC? ILOC means your which particular index, which particular attribute you want to take from the data set. I'm opening this in Excel. So ILOC, this is your 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I want to take 2 and 3 for input, and this died as your output. So we have taken this. Any of these you can take. Actually, LOC, ILOC we take for the to fetch the complete report, to fetch complete column. Now you can see that in Python there is a specific library, there is a specialized library for machine learning, and this library is having all the algorithms starting from pre-processing to training. Okay, pre-processing, training, each and everything is available. So scikit-learn, and whenever you install Anaconda, after installation of Anaconda, your scikit-learn comes by default. Is it visible to all the participants? Are you able to view this platform, this website, scikit-learn.org? This is your scikit-learn. Okay, so it's available by default. Okay. Now you can see that for training the data set, this is the data set for training. This data set for training. From this particular data set, we will take 75% and 25% separation. Okay, whenever we work on machine learning model, whenever we work on whether it is artificial neural network or any machine learning model, what we do, we perform the splitting of 80-20. It means 80% records are used for training the data set, or we can use 75% reports. So test size you can see that 0.5 means 0.25 means 25% we have taken for testing. Okay, and random state is equal to 0 means just to avoid overfitting. Okay, just to avoid the overfitting. So any number you can put here, you can put 1, you can put 2, any of the number you can put here. Okay, and by this way your data set will be trained, and as you can see that from SQL processing we are using standard scaler. Okay. As far as overfitting is concerned, what happens whenever we are having a particular data set, and in that particular data set we are having 80% and 20% split size. Okay, in that case, if we are training the model with that data repeatedly, okay, it means same data is taken repeatedly by the algorithm. In that case, there will be issue of overfitting. So if we take a simple example for overfitting, suppose I am having this particular data 1, 2, 4, 5, this. Okay, in first iteration, suppose I have taken 1, 2, 5. In second iteration, I have taken the algorithm has taken 2, 3, and 6. Okay. In third iteration, it has again taken 1 to 5. In fourth iteration, it has again taken 1 to 5. In that case, this will give the issue of overfitting. It means the algorithm is taking same data set again and again. Okay. So to avoid this particular problem, we use random state. Okay. Suppose we have taken random state is equal to 9, or we have taken random state is equal to 0. In that case, it will remember which particular data is already taken for training. Okay, so random state will remember the previously trained data set from entire data. Is it clear? What is overfitting and what is underfitting? Underfitting means we are not providing the data, we are not providing the sufficient data to the algorithm for training. So that will be underfitting. Overfitting means we are giving same thing again and again. So it will overfit. Okay. And after that, what we have to do? We'll see that. From SQL and pre-processing, we are using standard scaler. What standard scaler will do? It will scale the inputs. Now you can see that in this particular data set, this is the data set. Okay, this 19 and this 90, this 35 and this 80, there is big difference in values. Are you able to view this? There is big difference in the values. This is 26 and this is 72. This is 27. This is 75. There is a big difference. Are you able to view this sheet, this data set? Now I'm telling you why do we use scaling? What is need of scaling the data set? Actually, the data set scaling is must. If we do not scale the data set using standard scaler or any other technique, in that case, your outcome will not be good. Okay, so it is age and weight. You can see. Are you able to view this 19 and 20? Okay, are you able to view this these values 19, 70, 27, 84? So in case of age, the values are 19, 20, 30, and weights and all these weights. In this case, without, now I am typing it here. I'm also typing here. If we do not use scaling, then weight will overcome, or there will be more preference will be given to weight because of its value in higher. Are you getting this point? Is this point clear to all of you? If we do not use this scaling or normalization, that is same thing. scaling or normalization. We are using the normalization. So what we will do, we will scale 19 and 92 between 0 and 1, or between -1 and -1. So in that case, age will become -0.8, suppose, and weight will become 0.1. So each and everything will be in a specific range. So range will be there to limit the values. Are you getting this point? Is this point clear to all of you? If we do not use the scaling, then what will happen? Scaling or normalization. Is this point clear to all of you? What is meaning? What is use of scaling or normalization? Okay, so we scale this, and after that you can see that we transform this particular data, and after transformation of this, what we do, we are having another data set. So first of all, I will execute this code, and I will show you its outcome. Is this visible to all of you? Are you able to view this? Now if we execute this, now then you see, okay, now it is trained. This particular data set is trained, and you can see that these are the values. These are the values which are scaled. Okay, after scaling, so you can see that this first attribute is your age. This is your age, and second is your weight. And you can see that now age is transformed to 0.5, age is and weight is transformed to 0.6. This age is -0.6, and this your weight is in this particular thing. Now, and as far as accuracy is concerned, how much accuracy it is having? 0.9. So if we check only this particular model from this particular, if we want to see the authenticity, if we want to see the genuineness of this particular data set, suppose this particular data set you have taken from some other source, okay, and in that particular data you are having this particular target, okay. So just to check the genuineness of data, first of all we implement this thing, okay. So from confusion matrix, finally we get the accuracy 0.9. It means this particular data set is genuine and it can be used for prediction. Are you getting this point, that we are getting this much accuracy from this data set? Suppose I want to implement 80-20 test and split size, then you will see its performance, and now it is giving me 93.7% accuracy, and this is the confusion matrix. So these functions are already available. You can see that. So actually confusion matrix can be created for that particular data set which is already having the outputs, which are already having the outcomes, okay. So if we see that, in this you can see this is your confusion matrix. Is it visible to all of you? Is this visible to all the participants? So this is true negative, true negative, false positive, false negative, and true positive. Now if we see in our case, if we want to see 57, 1, 4 and 18, 57, 1 and 4 and 18. So you can see here, seven, 1 and 4 and 18, and depending upon these values we can plot we can find out the final accuracy of this particular model. Okay. So how many values are true positive? How many values are true negative? True negative means if a particular value is actually negative, in that case it is showing that particular value in true. If we split, now you can see that it is being 0.93. If I split this particular data in 85% split size, so 0.84, 88% split size, so test size is 0.12. In that case, what will happen? 88% records, 88% of these records will be used for training, and the remaining 12% records will be used for testing, for finding out the confusion matrix. So now if you will see, it is giving 93% accuracy again. So in each and every iteration, it is giving more than 90% accuracy. So if you take 0.1 and then we are setting its accuracy 0.92. 0.92 means 92% accuracy is there. Is this visible to all the participants? Are you able to view this? It is visible to all the participants. So by which way we can plot the accuracy? You can see that simply we have performed the fitting of model, and after that confusion matrix. This is the function. This is the function. This is the function using which we can plot these values, and accuracy score, it is showing that. And as far as confusion matrix is concerned, actually confusion matrix tells that the actually predicted values are how much associated with the genuineness. Suppose as this is the data set, okay, and it is predicted that it is 1. From actually the confusion matrix will identify, suppose from using algorithm it is giving 0, but in actual it is 1. In that case, it will be covered under false positive. Suppose a particular person is not having COVID disease, okay, that is not COVID positive. Still, it is giving positive. It means it is predicting that this particular person is COVID positive. In that case, it will be covered under false positive. Okay, false negative means suppose I am not suffering from a disease and still it is showing that it is not suffering. In that case, it will be your false negative. So by this way, it will find out from entire data set, and finally it will give you the overall accuracy score. Okay. So any question from the participants? You can ask your queries. Any question in this particular thing, in this particular implementation? Any question? So this code and this particular data set will be shared to all of you. As far as plot is concerned, in tomorrow's session I will cover all other things like linear regression, its plotting also. Okay. In this thing, in today's session, in this session, we will discuss about these basics, how to work on logistic regression. And in tomorrow's session, I will explain you how to plot using matplotlib and how to visualize the values. Okay. Other things we will cover in tomorrow's session. Up to this point, any question you can ask. Okay.
First.
So these codes will be shared to all of you. Actually, this was very basic implementation just to make you aware, and in tomorrow's session we will move ahead for further implementations.
Okay, sir. Back in the chat box. Sevakram Tanaji, what?
Primary, actually, as far as primary source is concerned, you can take that source from anywhere. If you are working on image processing, if you are working on medical imaging, in that case you can take that particular data from hospital, from any medical lab. So that will be a primary source. If you are working on sentiment data analysis, so in sentiment data analysis, if you are collecting your tweets at your own level from your own scripts, then you can go for it. Okay, that will be a primary source. But secondary source means if you are downloading the data as it is from some other sources, like from UCI, from data.gov. There are so many links available. All these links are available. You can see that all these are secondary sources of data, and these data sets are concerned with COVID-19. So all these data sets will be covered under your secondary source of data. Okay, so these data sets will be shared to all of you so that you can perform your implementations. Okay, so secondary data is whenever we get the data from any other source directly as it is, and then we implement it. Like IRIS is your secondary data source. All data sets on UCI, these are secondary. But if you want to take your own data from any hospital, from any government office, from electricity board, from weather forecasting department, from meteorology department, in that case it will be covered under your primary source. Next question, sir.
Next question from Anksha Prasad Dubey. Sir, I want to know about output, desired output, expected output, ideal output. Are all same?
Actually, if we see this particular data set, in this particular data set, if I am using 80% and 20% split, okay, suppose this particular data, if I am taking separately, this is your actual output. Okay, now from this after algorithm, suppose obviously it will be your expected, definitely it will actual output and expected, it will be your expected. But after algorithm I am getting this, it is the obtained output. This will be, suppose it is modified, this is your obtained output. Okay, for now these two outputs will be compared to find out the confusion matrix. If we are not having the expected output, if we are not having both of these two, actual output and predicted output, both of these must be available to find out confusion matrix. So these two are required. So as in this particular data set, suppose I implement the algorithm, and after getting the implementation, this 0 becomes 1 in prediction. So 0 will be your output obtained or predicted output, 1 is your actual output, and then using the mathematical equation, using the algorithm, using scikit-learn, we can find out the accuracy matrix or confusion matrix. Next question, sir. Next question, sir.
Yes, sir. Just a second, sir. Next question I'll take is from Rahul.
Sir, audio is not clear.
Sir, can we implement the same on Colab?
Yes, definitely we can perform same thing on Colab also. Same thing can be implemented on Colab. Next question, sir.
Where I will find Python reference syntax for digital communication.
There is a particular package repository, pypy.org. From that you will find out all the packages for digital communication, even for other domains, and in that you will find all the reference syntax and instructions from pypy.org. You can, this is the URL. pypy.org, and here you can find out the manuals related to that particular domain.
So next, Mr. Dorpan Anand is saying, can you share the link to download the dataset?
Yes, we will share after this session. I will share to you. I will share you all these data sets and these reports, and then you can.
Okay, next question from Saravanan M. Is it possible to use defined algorithm or modify existing algorithm and test it with this same procedure?
Yes, definitely that can be done. So you can create your own algorithm and you can modify those algorithms. And so this is the base process of research. So what we do, we find out the prediction from our own algorithm, and then from already known values, from already predicted values, we compare it, and then actually in case of confusion matrix, we must be having both of these values. One is already defined and second is predicted. So from your algorithm, if you are predicting something, then you can compare those predictions with the already available labels, the already available classes, and then you will be able to find out the accuracy of your approach.
Next question from Manpreet Kaur. Other than Spider, what else we can use for prediction?
There are so any ID you can use, PyCharm you can use, Jupyter you can use, Eclipse is also available, or in command window, or using Notepad++, you can write the code and then you can execute it. Even Google Colab is also available. Google Colab, Neptune, for cloud-based implementation, Neptune is also available. Neptune.ai.
So next question from Mahadhu Trimukhe. Why can't linear regression be used in place of logistic regression for binary classification?
Actually, in case of linear regression, we find out the value. We find out that particular numeric value. Okay, but if we implement linear regression in case of the data set that is good for logistic regression, the output will not be good. Okay, actually, in case of logistic regression, the curve is followed. Okay. In case of linear regression, only straight line fitting is done. Okay, so it depends on the data set. So as far as vice versa is not allowed, that we are implementing logistic regression in case of rather than linear regression, or linear regression rather than logistic regression. So we have to see the availability as well as the suitability of data set.
So next question from Ms. Sridevi. Sir, in case if the severity level is low, medium and high, how to use logistic regression?
Yes. If you are having multiple classes for logistic regression, in that case multi-class or multi-logistic regression is used. That is also known as softmax logistic regression. Okay, so multi-class regression is also available. It doesn't mean that if there are more than 2 classes, it doesn't mean that logistic regression can't be used.
Next question from Ms. Gurvinder Kaur. What is the criteria to split training and testing data?
There is no specific thumb rule or mathematical formula, but generally 80-20 ratio is taken. 80%, 20%, or 75% training and 25% testing, like this.
Then we have next question from you, Karthik Chandra Patnaik, sir. Standard scalar versus min-max scalar. He wants to know about.
In case of standard scalar, the variation or the data values lie between -1 and +1. Okay. In case of min-max, we can specify our own range. Suppose I want to work in user-defined range or programmer-defined range. In that case, we can go for min-max. Otherwise, by default, using scalar, it will confine the data set in -1 to 1.
Okay, sir. Next question is from Ms. Rachna Manchanda. Sir, with Anaconda Jupyter also need to be used for running Python codes?
Yes, Jupyter is also used. Actually, Jupyter runs on web browser. Spider can be used in standalone application. So if you generally Jupyter is used for cloud-based implementations, for browser-based implementations.
Next question from Mr. Irfan Ahmed Sheikh. How can we handle or restore missing or corrupted data from dataset?
Okay, for that there are so many algorithms available. This is known as missing value imputation in Python. Okay, there is a specific package for missing value imputation, and in that you can implement random forest approach, you can implement KNN, or you can implement mean based imputation. Okay, as far as the missing value imputation or treatment is concerned, we have to see which particular algorithm is giving best output.
Next question from Mr. Ranjit Yadav. Any data set for beam forming in 5G is available?
Yes, these data sets are available, and you can mail separately. We will send the links. You can download it.
Next question from T. Rajalakshmi. How can we know how many algorithms are there in scikit-learn?
You can navigate scikit-learn.org. Okay, scikit. You can navigate the link scikit-learn.org, and you will find out all the packages and all the algorithms in that. And you can see that you want to see which algorithms are available in supervised learning. So all these are available. Okay, if you want to see unsupervised or regression, you want to see, so all these are available. So scikit-learn.org you can navigate.
Okay, next question is from Ms. Shikha. How machine learning is used for WSN?
For wireless sensor networks, actually, if you are working on a particular simulator like NS2, or you are performing your implementation in MATLAB, in that case, what we do after implementation of algorithm, we analyze the log files. Okay, in NS2, a particular TR file is created. In that TR file, there are different parameters like sender, receiver, port number, IP address, packet loss, packet drop, and throughput. Different things are there. How many data sent, how much data received. So that particular data set can be used for training a machine learning model, and a new data or a new traffic can be tested or can be predicted, that how many packet lost may be there if this type of bandwidth is available. If this type of record is there, then how many packet lost will be there. So in that particular case, you will have to use linear regression. Okay, in that logistic regression will not be used. If you want to predict whether data loss will be there, yes or no, in that case you can use logistic regression.
So no more questions as of now. So I think we can conclude the session.
Yes, sir. Yes. Fine.
So thank you so much to all the participants for being patient today, because we started late and we are ending late also. So our time is till 3:30, so it's almost 3:50 right now. So thank you so much, Gaurav sir, for today's session. So I request you to kindly mail me the content so that I can give it to them in the evening only. And any other question regarding anything, because attendance not an issue. Next session I'll tell everything right now. So next session will start at 9:30 AM only tomorrow. So it was the first day that we had to start late because of the inauguration at the AICTE Atal website. Yeah, we'll start at 9:30 AM sharp tomorrow. Don't worry about the attendance. It is like you have to be on time, because this software records your in time and out time. Suppose if you enter at specific time and you leave quickly, so everything is recorded. So slight network problems can be excused, but if you are not present for a longer amount of time, so that won't be excused. So everything is recorded in this software only. So that is why we're not giving you any link, because this software automatically records your attendance. Ayushi ma'am, a link for tomorrow's session I'll be emailing you in the evening with all the attachments, like the schedule. Today's experts presentations will be there, so I'll email everything. I think that solves everybody's issues now. So thank you so much.